There is something in this world that has a much greater impact on your life than you think. And no money, no looks, not even an educational degree. What we're talking about is social respect. See how others look at you, not just in public. You feel it everywhere, in your workplace, your family, even your romantic relationship. And this respect is often built not with words or actions, but with silence. That is, yes, with this thing called maxing. Maxing for a moment. Look, my name is like a kind of respect. Have you ever seen someone come into a group and say nothing, but everyone unconsciously turns around and looks at them, as if they have some kind of attraction? This person is not because he has a beautiful voice, not because he is tall, but because he has the energy of silence. There are two types of people in every society: those who talk but no one listens, and those who everyone pays attention to even when they're quiet. Power is second-hand. But why? Because society does not respect weakness. It respects power, and one of the signs of power is the silence that comes from self-confidence. Churchill said that in the game of power, silence is sometimes the loudest cry. Those who met him said his silence was more frightening than his anger. That's what Sanzo was saying. The same famous Chinese commander. He used to say that when you have power, you don't need to shout. He used to say, when you are strong, act weak. When you are close, you seem far away. And of course, when you know something, make it known so that others are afraid of what you know. Don't take this discussion lightly at all and pay close attention, because in the rest of the program, I'm going to show you with examples and real situations show this simple skill can change the course of your career, your relationships, and even the minds of others. Music. Hello and welcome. I'm Siavash Paksad and welcome to Wow Success. Now let's go a step further. We've all experienced that moment. Someone asks a question or says something and waits for a reaction, and you stay silent. You look at them. You don't smile. You don't blink. You just remain silent. That's exactly the moment when you take control of the conversation. The other brain can't stand it. Hey, he analyzes for himself. He is silent. What does that mean? That means you understand that he's suspicious, upset. Why isn't he saying anything? And you're just playing the psychological game by remaining silent without saying a single word. For example, suppose someone is lying. You just stay silent and look at him. What's going on? He exposes himself. Because your silence is like a mirror that reflects itself. You don't need to tell him you doubt him, show him your silence. He reveals the truth himself. Detectives use the same thing in their interrogations. The other party replies that the police are just looking at him. He doesn't say anything. This silence is enough for the other person to start talking again and help me reveal myself. Let me tell you something I learned from politicians. Silence, when accompanied by a calm and confident look, makes the other person feel like they're repeating your words in their mind. Now it's time to move on to the uses of silence that I want to bring you for real situations where you can act much more professionally just by maxing out. The first situation is when someone criticizes or insults you. Suppose you are in a group and someone says something that is clearly disrespectful to you. What do we usually do? We either laugh or respond harshly. But what are you doing? You look at him, just for 5 seconds max. Then you say in a calm and firm voice, "This is more about you than anything about me." The silence after that makes the whole space turn towards you. Now let's move on to the second situation, which is a negotiation or a business meeting. Suppose that during the negotiation, the other party makes an offer or says something that you find very exciting. Reacting quickly is wrong. You pause for a few seconds and then say, "Let me think about it for a while." This simple sentence can turn the page. The other party feels like you're a good person. You didn't make decisions based on emotion, and maybe he'll start giving you more points. The third situation is when you have to say no. Imagine someone asks you to do a favor for them, but you really don't want to do it. Most people start explaining that this is wrong. Just wait a moment, Max, then calmly say, "No, I can't." And then silence again. That silence takes away his permission to negotiate because he understands there is no room for negotiation. Now we move on to the fourth situation, which is the time off impact. Suppose you are in a conversation and it is your turn to speak. You say an important sentence. Now, if you go straight to the next sentence, it has no effect at all. But if you max out, if you keep quiet between your words, that sentence will sit like a bed of stone in your other person's mind. You may think these are just a few simple examples, but behind each of them is an existential philosophy. So far, you have learned how powerful silence is. Right. But just knowing it is not enough. It has to be ingrained in your subconscious. It should become a skill for you, not a theory in your brain. So how should you do this? Let me teach you some exercises. The first exercise is to record an audio or video of yourself. Look, many people hate hearing their own voice. They say, "This is my voice. Why is it so ridiculous?" But the truth is that our ears are used to hearing sounds from inside our heads. When you record it, you hear it from the outside, and it's a little different. Bring your phone for this exercise. Take a video of yourself talking. Whatever, it doesn't matter what you say. Then look at it a few times. Look who talks too much. Where should you max? Where are you unnecessarily stretching your words? You are your own best coach. You just have to dare to yourself. Now let's move on to the second exercise, which is simulating Ariel's situation. Those moments when you know you're always being pushed. For example, when someone has an additional request from you or when you have to speak in the middle of a group, practice them with a friend. For example, say you play the role of my manager who asks me for an inappropriate task. Then practice saying no. Just do this, not with laughter or embarrassment, just slowly and counting. And then there's silence. It's funny at first, but after you do it a few times, it'll unlock for you and it'll become normal for you. The third exercise is admitting your shyness, which is a golden trick. If you're really being pushed around in a crowd, there's a good way. Tell the truth. For example, say, "I'm usually a little shy, but I want to talk." Believe me, this one sentence is very helpful. The other party not only doesn't humiliate you, but also feels close to you and sees you as a twin. Your mind will clear, your stress will decrease, and the atmosphere will become more intimate. Incidentally, when a person shows their vulnerability, they appear stronger, not weaker. So if you're embarrassed or scared, don't hide it at all. Show it. But then stand up and speak your mind, and that's exactly what separates powerful and respected people from the rest. Now I want to tell you a couple of other tricks that politicians often use to make themselves appear more influential and powerful. Don't think that politicians only use these tricks in debates and on television. No, my friend, they use tricks that you can implement in your daily life. Now let's move on to the first trick, which is using the name of the opposing party. It may seem simple, but hearing someone's name is like pleasant music to the brain. For example, if you say, "Look, Mehdi, I understand you, but I need to tell you something." Or, "Elnaz, you said that, but think about it for a moment." This will subconsciously draw the other person's attention to you. Everyone's name is the most powerful word they can hear. Dale Carnegie, the author of The Right of Friendship, said that no word in any language is more important to a person than their own name. Now let's move on to the second trick. That means never criticize. People don't change with criticism. As soon as you criticize, they start fighting you and defending themselves. If you want to make an impact, first understand them. What does that mean? That is, instead of saying, "Why do you always do this?" say, "I understand why you made that decision, but what would have happened if you had done that?" Now imagine if you combine this dialogue with Max's silence and the other person's name, you'd create a psychological bomb. The third trick is to pretend to be consulted instead of giving advice. Nobody likes to be told what to do, but everyone likes to get advice. So instead of saying "you shouldn't have done this," say, "Don't you think you would have gotten a better result if you had gone ahead like this?" It's more effective and the other party doesn't feel humiliated. The last trick is to pretend to be defenseless. If you want to win the hearts of a group, you don't have to show yourself to be strong. Show yourself weak sometimes. The same thing that the world's greatest actors do at the Oscars. For example, they say, "I didn't expect it at all. I was really shocked. I didn't know what to say." A kind of sweet defenselessness, not out of weakness but out of intelligence. Great people know when to honestly say they're stressed so that the audience can both feel it and admire them. So far, we've learned how silence can be one of the most powerful communication tools. But let's clarify something. Silence is the cry oft-taught. This is very important. In a world where everyone is shouting, the one who remains silent is heard the most. Because it's different, because it draws attention to itself, because others ask themselves, "Why is this quiet? What's going on in your head?" And when you learn this skill, you will no longer be that person who gets lost in the crowd. You are no longer the person who has to explain 1,000 times to get attention. You will be the one who takes the whole world into his hands with a smile, a look, a quiet sentence. Don't forget something. Silence is not just a trick. It's a kind of mindset. This means that you don't seek approval from others in every situation. You know what you want. You know when to speak and when to wait. Now, if you want to quadruple your learning speed, I suggest you definitely watch this program. Remember, you're not just watching a video. You are becoming who you were always meant to be. So see you in the next video, my friend.